What's going on, fam? Welcome to the Get the Bag podcast, episode 46. We're climbing on up. I'm your host, Gladia Castro. Got my co host, Tim Park. What's going on,
What's up,
everybody?
fam?
What is up? So, before we get started, as we always do, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, follow us on Instagram at Get the Bag 1T podcast. We have all our information in the show notes if you ever want to reach out to us directly. But today's topic is near and dear to us. We've all been there. I think everybody at this point has gone through uh, YouTube University, but we're going to talk about YouTube University versus getting a mentor. We're going to dive a little deep into pros and cons with both of them because I think there's definitely tons of pros with going with YouTube and a lot that you can learn. I know a lot of people that have made tons of money just by watching some videos on YouTube and just kind of um, taking all that information and learning about it and applying action. I think that's always the biggest thing. So we're gonna go into that. Um, so how do you feel about YouTube University, Tim? Like, what do you think it's like helpful, or what are your
I
thoughts?
think so. I believe in it. I mean, just because it helped me find uh, real estate and what avenue of real estate I wanted to get into.
Mm,
And for me, I was searching for something in real estate, but I didn't know what it was. And I
yeah,
kind of stumbled across, different videos about wholesaling and, just being an agent. And I figured out what I didn't want to do in real estate just through YouTube University and what I wanted to pursue. So I don't know what really made me switch to getting a coach. I think
yeah,
we've talked about it in our groups and then just with other people, but I think there's this one video from Max Maxwell where he was talking about wholesaling. I think it was the time when he was actually doing a lot of meetups and
yeah.
um and a lot of people were attending and they were asking a lot of questions about wholesaling and what's the process, and that's where um Chris was at that event, and he
Hmm.
started answering all the questions, and I was like, who's this dude? So that's kind of
Yeah,
my rabbit hole of, because YouTube University gets into a rabbit hole and sometimes you don't take action. Uh,
right.
that's I think that's one of the negatives in regards to access to a lot of different videos and different information. It's like information overload sometimes.
Absolutely. I think they call it analysis paralysis.
Hmm.
And I do think there's tons of pros with YouTube. I mean, one, it's free,
Yep.
obviously. So if it's, and I think it's there's something that's saying that YouTube will outgrow Google in terms of search functionality
Hmm.
of if there's something, we always Google something, but now because there's videos on almost everything, you can
Hmm.
literally type in anything in YouTube and find a video for that question that you have. So the accessibility is huge in YouTube. Is if I want to learn about something, or sometimes I'll just, I'm running around the house and there's something that I haven't done before. I'll go on YouTube. I'm like, okay, has somebody done this before? It
Hmm.
can be something related to the house, animals, and I can find it. So I think that's one of the huge pros of YouTube in general. It's super convenient. You can get quick content, quick information right away. And like I said, it's free. So I would say there's probably more. Those are the ones I kind of think of at the top of my head. But I think it just depends on the person too. Like everybody learns differently.
Hmm.
So I think that's the biggest thing in terms of comparison is, do you need structure in like when you're learning something, especially if you made the decision that I want to learn this craft, I want to take
Hmm.
this to the next level. YouTube University can only get you so far, but you're ultimately always going to have to, if you want to take your career or anything to the next level, you're going to have to invest in a coach or a community or group, whatever it is, a mentor, to really take you to that next step. Because I feel like there's you can only be taken so far. There's only the ceiling is only so high that you can get in YouTube, where it's like, okay, I've learned everything. What's next? Because with mentorships, there's things that you learn about that isn't going to be spoken. Because if everybody gave all their information, like, what's the point of having mentorships or coaches? And I think there are some people on YouTube that strive on giving content for free. And But there's still so many things you can learn, especially in real estate. So I would say those are kind of the pros and cons with YouTube. I mean, the biggest thing being analysis paralysis. People rather just, like Instagram, you get in a rabbit hole, like you said. You start watching videos, and you just end up watching dog videos or something, like, it just takes you in like this whole other direction where you're watching one thing and you end up watching another. And you can't ask questions either. Like, people won't really get to you right away. Um, so I would say that's a those are kind of the pros and cons with YouTube. Oh, I think Tim got frozen. He'll hop back on for a bit. But I want to hear from any of you guys that are on watching. Appreciate you tuning in. But how has YouTube helped you? How has it not? Because for me, I need that structure. I need that somebody to kind of, in a way, hold my hand. I'm pretty independent, but I need somebody to kind of hold my hand and walk me through the process. So I knew right away, once I found something I was interested in that I wanted to like take to the next level, I was like, okay, I can't just watch YouTube, and I can, but I need somebody to sort of walk me through the process. So that's where it was actually through Instagram where I was introduced to Chris Jefferson and went through his webinar. And the rest is history. Like that, I just know myself. So it's important for you if you need that structure. Some people don't. Some people can just take what they're watching, take action, and just figure it out as they go. And it's the same for me. But to have that opportunity to ask somebody who's been through it, I think takes you much further than not.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's important too, because I think a lot of people that are on YouTube, it's a piecemeal kind of thing. It's like they'll watch how to do something, but they might not have the right documents to do, let's say, wholesaling. So they'll have to
Right.
go somewhere else to get the contracts or whatever. So it just takes them longer to get to actually a deal. And some
Yeah,
people,
got
I
to
mean,
jump around videos.
yeah, absolutely. They jump around videos. They jump around, where to get access, maybe how to dispo, get a buyer, so there's just, it's all piecemeal kind of thing, right? So I think
That's a
what you're
good
saying
point.
is like with a coach or a mentor, everything's kind of laid out for you to be successful because you know where everything's at, whether it's a Dropbox full of documents that you may need, or if it's a specific video, you can go to that specific video to learn about, getting cash buyers or getting maybe alternative creative financing or whatever the case may be within your real estate journey. I think
Yeah,
it's just important that you have that, like you said, structure, right? Some people want that structure, but some people want to freelance and just learn as they go, and they have the time, but some people don't have that time. They want
exactly.
they need that money, and they want to get it done as soon as possible so they can, let's say, get the bag, right? So
Exactly. That was for me too. I mean, I have a job, and um I'm like, I don't have time to scope through videos. Like, I just need somebody and the way, our group is structured is we meet once a week, and then we have several other meetings as well, but we use that time, that hour, 2 hours, sometimes 3, to ask questions, cuz we're going to be figuring things out as we go, through our journeys, in this case real estate, through wholesaling. Okay, I got something under contract. Okay, like, I have a question, something just came up. Oh, I'm running into title issues. Oh, I have a question. You can't really do that with YouTube. You may just still go through YouTube and be like, title issues and real
Mhm.
escrow issues,
Mhm.
or code violation issues, and that's how you get your answer. But you're right, everything is piecemeal. You have to jump hoops to just get your answer. And if we've learned anything about this business or just in general, like time is money. Like you're wasting time, jumping through these hoops, getting answers, when you could have just asked a specific question directly if you had a coach or a group, a community to ask these
Mhm.
questions with. And let's just keep it real. Like YouTube influencers, it's all marketing. Like they want
Yeah.
you to join the group. Even though it is
Right.
free content, there's always something, they're selling you something. So
Mhm.
whatever it is, it's important to, as you're navigating to and decide, okay, I do want to get a coach, or I do want to invest in mentorship. You have to vet these people out.
Yeah.
And uh you can't just, and because I've heard too many stories of people saying like I spent $30,000 on this group but I didn't learn a thing, or I learned
Mhm.
more with this other group that spent much less. So you have to be really cautious with that. Is like everybody's feeding you. That's the other thing with YouTube, is like you're constantly being fed, so you don't
Mhm.
know your right from wrong sometimes, and you may be doing things wrong. And for me, I was like, real estate, there's legal, um there's a
Mhm.
legal aspect to it. I don't want no problems. I rather, have access to somebody who's been through it, that knows going to teach me the right way from the start.
Mhm.
Because I'm not trying to get the IRS behind me. And there's just so much aspect to it. So, just coaching is definitely the way to go in general within any industry when you want to take it to the next level.
Right, right. And I think with YouTube, there's a lot of distractions, right? Whether it's ads coming up on the screen, or you get distracted with another video on the right hand side. It's
I'm
just
telling you,
like,
those dog
you
videos
know,
for me, it's the animal videos.
I know, right? So you get easily distracted, like, because yeah, the content is going to be there, but sometimes you don't get the juice, or you don't get the gems you do when you're with a coach, right? And you
Mhm.
could have actually avoided a major mistake that would set you back, if you didn't have a coach, right? So yeah, that's why I'm saying it takes longer sometimes if you do
Mhm.
the piecemeal with YouTube University, because you may miss a step that cost you maybe months, or even a year, right? So it just all
Yeah.
depends, because with the coach, you kind of, it's very streamlined. They've actually been through that process, so you can avoid maybe some of the missteps. But like you said, just vet them out as well too, because I know I did some background checks, and not really like background checks, but just making
Right.
sure that person was a legit person in the industry. Just making
Definitely.
sure that they had a business in the business that you're going. It doesn't necessarily need to be real estate. There's a lot of gurus in other industries. Just vet them out and make sure they relate to you, because I know Chris, um, with Charged Up. I mean, I related to him because he went
Yeah,
through
same.
kind of the same thing I did. So, and he was, a person of color, and he was, he failed at, you know, different businesses twice, right? And then just rebuilt himself. So I kind of resonated with that, and I think
Mhm.
it's important to find someone that you relate to, because you have that common um, common thing that will push you forward, because you see that person do something that you want to be doing, and doing it successfully.
Yeah, role model. I mean, that's the other
Yep.
aspect of having a coach or mentor, is like, because let's be real, a lot of us didn't have these sort of role models growing up. We didn't have the privilege to
Mhm.
have parents or relatives that were super successful millionaires to kind of
Mhm.
lead the way for us. So we never were like when we see somebody that we look up to, and I think, agree, we both look up to Chris for
Yeah.
everything he's gone through and like what he's doing in the community. Um, they're role models. You're in a way like your mentor is somebody you look up to that you want to strive to. You not necessarily you're going to be like them, but you take
Mhm.
things that really resonate with you and you take that with you and apply your own twist to it. But the biggest thing too, and I think because we're all just keeping it real here, people are cheap. Like when it
Mhm.
comes to
Mhm.
investing in yourself, like that's where you want to go all in. You're the best biggest investment is investing in yourself. And when you're and not to say like people are still trying to work a ton of jobs, and maybe you can't afford it. That's where YouTube University comes in. But until you're able to afford it, that's like you have to go all in yourself. And sometimes
Mhm.
people that have the funds want to be cheap when it comes to that, but they're not cheap when it comes to other things. So I think it's important
Right.
to bring that up, because you're being cheap with in the wrong things, man. Like when it comes to your education and everything else, that's where you need to invest your money in. And that's one thing I learned as well. I recently, because I've been in the Charge Up group now for 2 years, and yeah, exactly. People are cheap. People will invest more in things than in themselves, and that's
Yeah.
unfortunate. We live in a consumer world, which is why influencers, gurus, or whatever you want to call them, make so much money,
Mhm.
because they know how people just want to buy and buy. But I recently invested in a mentorship group with Chris. So he has his community, Charge Up Fam, but he also has he calls it a hands off group where you get invest a significant amount of money. I mean, it's not 30,000. I'll say that, but it's a more intimate group where we get to go through all the details, because on a high level with the bigger group, you kind of go through the gems, but you go even dig deeper with this mentorship group. And I've learned so much in terms of just running a successful business. I can ask direct questions of issues that I'm running into that maybe it would have taken longer with the bigger group. So that's where it's like, if you need to take levels or take baby steps, like join the small community that's that you can afford, and nurture relationships, network. And that's what we talked about as well, as networking with others. But it's the taking the next step, because I took my business seriously. And when you invest
Mhm.
that significant amount of money, you're like, okay, I can't go back now, or I can't just uh mess around. Like I invested
Right.
this amount of money. I need to see it through. I need to, I'm holding myself accountable. So when you invest in a coach or mentor, like that's you're investing in this person to trust and walk you through, but you're holding yourself accountable when you spend that kind of money. So that like I mean, that's how it goes. You guys need
Yeah.
to you know, really not be cheap when it comes to investing in yourself.
Yeah, and I think the other thing with that is that once you commit to putting down some money, then you're like, okay, like you said, accountable, right? But
Yeah,
some people like they be Netflix, they be what they'll be putting out like a monthly fee and then not doing anything, right? Like they
right.
set it and forget it sometimes, or life happens. We get it. Like you can't devote as much time as you want. So along with the mentorship comes the community that provides, right? So
Mhm.
getting an accountability person that actually can hold you accountable on what you're doing on a daily basis, or if you're getting deals or not getting deals, and how you can help or ask questions and stuff like that. Because
Right.
with YouTube University, that there's no really community. You're just solo doloing it, right? You're just doing it by yourself, and
Yeah, I mean,
that's
you can
it,
add
it
put
gets
post
lonely.
questions in the comments, like, that's it, but
Yeah,
again,
right.
it does get lonely, and I think that was one of the things I wrote down, like, you can't ask direct questions, like, you kinda are on your own when it comes to that, but
Mhm.
again, marketing 101. Like, I mean, you're going to put out content for
Mhm.
people eventually to sign up for your product. A product can be a
Yep.
course, be a group, a
Exactly.
community. And that's where you want to be. You really want to focus on like who you gravitate towards, who it's like, maybe it's their story, like Tim talked about. It can be like, okay, like they've shown evidence, like, all right, they've closed deals, they've showed their HUDs. Because that's another thing that I've heard too, of like people that invest all this money, but they're like, I didn't
They
learn
hadn't done the
anything from
deal.
them. They've never done the deal. They're
Right.
just teaching me, and that's like the worst position to be in. So, um, I think it's just important to like understand that that people put out content eventually to hopefully that you will invest in their product, in their
Mhm.
course. So it's important that you're paying attention to that. And if it's somebody you gravitate towards, like, and you have the funds, like invest in them, whether like there's so many options out there nowadays because everybody's doing content. So
Mhm.
ask people, ask around, like, how are things working, what's their experience like.
Mhm.
And you'll that'll help, kind of help you too in making a decision. But I mean, mentorship by all means, even if you're just starting now and you eventually want to get to a coach or mentor but can't afford it, like, start with
Mhm.
YouTube. That's what everybody does, and then
Yep.
join a community that's affordable, and then work your way towards that.
Yeah. And if you can't afford the mentor that you want, just keep following them. Keep because they're gonna post content on social media. They're gonna have their own like freebie lives where you can actually ask questions there. So
Yeah,
until you get to the
good point.
funds where you can actually pull the trigger on getting that particular mentor that you kind of decided on, just make sure you follow them, see who they're following too, because they're following people within their industry that are influencing them, or they've done business with, or they're students in their current class, and see what they've been posting, if they've been posting success stories. So this is all part of your research and just being
Mhm.
on a low budget, right?
Yeah,
But,
for
you
sure.
know, when once you do have the funds, then, you can pull that trigger and then, you'll be in a better environment and space to actually do, deals too, so.
Yeah. Well, if I were super low on budget, knowing what I know now, what I would do is I would reach out to the mentor or coach directly and just see how I can add value, or um
That's a
like
good
we
point.
say, like JVing, right? Like, if I know like wholesaling and got a good grasp of it from YouTube, I would find a deal, maybe get it locked up, and then reach out like, hey, I have this deal. You're in this area. Um, let's work together. Like, you have to find a way. You can't just reach out to a mentor and expect them to give back without giving something. Like, you have to come in with that go-giver mentality. So I would do
Yeah.
that, or I would reach out to somebody in that group. Maybe it's a community, real estate community. I'd reach out to one of the students and be like, hey, I have this deal, or hey, I'm in this market. Can I be your boots on the ground? Can I be,
Mhm.
just find ways to add value. That's an easy way to get in the community where you've shown like your grit, and maybe you got something locked up, JV, you got some money, and now you can be full time in that group. So that's something I would do if I was super low on funds, is just find a way to add value, and definitely reach out to these people. Don't be nervous or scared to do that. People are always willing to help. You just have to
Mhm.
come in with that sort of mentality.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely right because you might not think you have value, but asking that question to that mentor might spark a question back to you that
Hmm.
you're like, "Oh, yeah, I actually can provide that." Like, if it's reposting one of the links to something on your social media, that's value
Hmm.
to that particular coach, right? So, you just don't know
Right,
what's
right,
of value to until you ask that question, "How can I provide value to you?" Right? So,
right.
don't be scared to reach out and ask that question to, potential mentors or even other people that you've seen done deals. Like you might see a house that you're driving past every day, and hey, I had this house, I called them. It looks like they want to go ahead and do a deal. Uh, do you mind if we maybe do this deal together? I can learn, or whatever the case may be. So, just there's different types of value, and just understand and ask the question. Don't be afraid to ask the question.
How can I help you? And don't do
Yeah.
this. Help me first. Or why
Yeah.
aren't you getting back to me? Or can you help me with this? And hey, you're not getting, like, don't do that. Do not do that. That's a huge turn off to anybody who's maybe a mentor or influencer or whatever. That's the worst way to not get a response. So again,
Yeah.
come in with value. Don't come in with like, what's in it for me? Like, come in with like, how can I help you? What is there anything I can do? You want to be you want to be obsessed or desperate in this case, where it's like, how
Yeah.
can I help you out? Some ways to help out if you don't have experience: be a bird dog, as they call, find these ugly
Mhm.
properties, and you can always get a referral fee. That's one thing. That's one way. Even if you don't JV,
Yeah.
be boots on the ground, just
Mhm.
something where you can help someone out. Just don't ask. Don't just be direct like that and then keep bugging like, "Oh, you're a jerk because you're not getting back to me." Don't
Mhm.
don't do that.
Exactly. Exactly. Because you have to understand, these people are probably these coaches are getting bombarded,
Hella
with
messages.
questions, a lot of questions, not just you asking the question, but if it's you saying, "How can I bring value?" That's different. That's gonna hit differently in their message board regarding, they're gonna like, "Oh, this guy wants to actually kind of provide some value, and what can I do in my response to say, okay, I need maybe this, or I like the way
Right.
that you asked that question. You'll spark a
You have to
response.
be unique. You have to
Yeah.
find a way to be unique. Yeah. Because that's one thing is um everybody sounds the same. And now maybe everybody's saying, "How can I help you? How can I add value?" So you have to find a unique way to stand out when it comes to this. So if I this is something I've learned from a podcast, is somebody mentioned, okay, well, yeah, anybody can say, "Hey, how can I help you? How can
Mhm.
I add value?" But maybe if I'm in multifamily, maybe be like, "Hey, I just underwritten this property that I think you'd be interested in. Is that something?"
Mhm.
Like, you kind of have to add an action to it in a way. Or maybe, like you said, Tim, maybe it's the way you word the message, where you're like, "Hey, I
Mhm.
really like that. This video I just watched, you mentioned this. I can totally relate to that." Like, you just we need to find a way to stand out by either doing something for them, or just something that just sticks out, where it's like they can't avoid that message. Um, but either way, like, people, just reaching out, networking with people. One thing I
Mhm.
really don't like either is other companies or other people who are marketing something to me. I'm always suspicious, to be quite honest, when people are like, "Hey, I see you're doing your thing. How's your business going?" Like, when they start with
Yeah.
that, I'm like, "Oh,
Right.
I know they're gonna sell me
They're
something,"
marketing.
and
Yep. Yeah.
it's just such a bad taste. It's like, I feel like in the ways we've kind of lost that genuine, or I don't know
Mhm.
if it's always been there, but I'm like, it's hard for people to be genuine these days. Like, there's always a motive behind everything. And I think
Right.
that's why we've created this podcast too. It's like, our motive is just to to give. And if something
Yeah.
comes back, great. If not, like, it is what it is.
Mhm.
But I think it's just having the right motive from the beginning.
Yeah. I think, a big part of what we're doing here is that, if we give out one piece advice or gems that you can take away, just one little nugget, I think that's an accomplishment for us, right? So,
Right.
and that's why we try to pump out, content as much as we can, because we have our businesses as well, but just try to provide you with value, and a way to kind of, even though we're on YouTube, and, we're saying, you know, YouTube University versus mentorship, we're just trying to be authentic because we're not asking you to join a course or anything like that. We're just trying to share our experiences with you. And I think, just by
At least not a
sharing,
course yet.
yeah, exactly. Not yet. I mean, soon, soon, soon. So,
Right.
but, no, I mean, I think, what you said is this, you know, a gem in itself, right? So I think we all need to provide value in all aspects of our life, not just your business. And, how can
Right.
you provide value to your spouse, or how can you provide value to your friendships? Or your work environment, right? So I think it's just a great piece of advice you could take on your everyday journey. So,
Yeah. I love that. Well, I know we're at the 30-minute mark. Appreciate you guys tuning in. I guess something I want to leave the audience with, especially if maybe you may be in different stages of your career, business, whatever. Maybe you're just starting out and you came across us through YouTube, which is awesome. Thank you for joining in. But if you're just getting started, like, you can continue using YouTube, but be intentional with the time that you use, that you are on YouTube. If it is real
hmm
estate, if it is something, do some time blocks. Okay, I'm going to take 30 minutes out to watch these videos and then apply it. Take
hmm
action on it. Network with people. See how you can add value. See how you can stand out. And work your way through. Maybe you're midway through. Maybe you're already in a community and your next step is to join a mentorship or a coach. See how much it is, especially if it's a coach that you trust already, and work towards that. Like close some more
hmm
deals, or find ways to make more money to invest in that. Like you're investing in your future. You're
Right.
investing in coach because you don't want to use the time to figure things out. Nobody has
Mhm.
time for that. So,
Yeah.
wherever you're at in your journey, just take those action steps, and work towards it. And you're going to accomplish it either way. And eventually, maybe you'll be a coach and mentor yourself for others. We, in a way, I feel like
Absolutely.
me and Tim, although I don't consider myself an influencer or a guru, because I'm just learning. I'm just a humble student
Mhm.
learning. But I feel like in a way we're also mentors to others because we've been through it. So we can also like
Mhm.
teach. And it's just a cycle. It's a
Yeah.
circle of life where it's like we're just giving back
Absolutely.
for people as they're learning in their journey.
Mhm. And I think I'll, kinda piggyback on that, and this, like, we're sports people and we played sports before. And, when you're coming up, in your particular sport, and then you gain experience and you start to excel a little bit, then your peers kinda see you as a leader in that,
Right.
in there. And it's your
Captain.
peers, not like, it's not like, the coaches picked you out or anything. It's your teammates that picked you out. So people are seeing
Mm,
that you're contributing to the team in a positive way. So I just think that's kind of what we're trying to do, is that we've gained some experience and successes. We're just trying to pass on some of this knowledge, and try to be not as experts in the field, as but you may see us as that just because of different things we've done, but just
mhm.
make leaders and share our experiences. And I just think, shout out to Chris Jefferson for giving us the opportunity to, get into this industry and let us learn
Definitely.
about that. So, we want to shout out to him, and shout out to other people that have been on the podcast that have their own courses and have I think
Right.
Gene from the Go Getter family, he was on here. We had Austin, who was on here before too. So a lot of people that have come through the podcast has been very valuable in sharing their story, but also valuable in sharing their gems and experiences as well too. So we have
Yeah.
we've great we built a great network of great talented people that have contributed to our podcast to give you value. So these are all people that we would recommend to you as
Mhm.
well too. So just go back to our other videos, check them out, and vet them if you want to get in this industry. And sooner or later we will have, hopefully sooner, we'll have like a beginner's course or something like that. I know Gladia and I have talked about that just for, our viewership, but that's
Mhm.
some of the things that I kind of want to leave you guys with, and just give a shout out to, the people that, have supported us and
From day
continue to
one.
support us. Yeah, from day one, for sure.
Yeah, definitely shout out for everybody who taps in with us. But again, if there's anything that we can do to help out, if uh, along with these videos, feel free to reach out to us. We have all our information on how to reach out to us down below in the show notes. But appreciate you guys tuning in. Seriously, it means a lot. It's crazy to think we're approaching our 50th
I
episode.
know,
We still have a
right?
few more weeks. Just super grateful for the chance to be on here. So um, appreciate you guys again tuning in. We'll be back next week, next Wednesday, 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern. So don't forget to miss out. And actually, we will be talking about a really important thing since we are in a recession right now, but how to come out of this recession whenever it ends, how long this is going to last, a millionaire.
Mhm.
That
Yep.
because that's something we're working towards right now. Is we've heard so many people back in the '08 when that recession came down that came out as
Mhm.
millionaires and have retired. Nobody's heard from them since. Maybe that's something we want in a bit. We'll just maybe just have the podcast. So don't want to miss that topic. Set your reminders for that. But again, hope you guys have a great rest of your week and chat with you guys later.